So was it God or voodoo that parted the Red Sea during Moses' time? Though some people say Moses used a form of magic called conjure from the voodoo tradition. And that's the narrative set forth in the two works of magic known as the 6th and 7th books of Moses. They allegedly were omitted from the original Bible and Old Testament because they're too magical in nature. And they attempt to explain that Moses' magic was used to win contests with the Egyptian priest magicians. He even parted the Red Sea because of the voodoo magic. So the 6th and 7th books of Moses, they credit good old magic and not the Hebrew God Yahweh for the miracles which were performed and set forth in the book of Exodus. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, does magic diminish the status and the greatness of a creator God, or does it only exist and work because of him? Let us know in the comments below.
Was Moses a wizard? Here's something far out. Did you know that in the Old Testament, the Lord ordered Moses to use crystal magic? When the Lord tells Moses how to build his temple, he instructs him to build a breastplate made of specific crystals and gemstones for the high priest to wear. Known as the ephod, each crystal held unique properties and represented one of the 12 tribes of Israel. In order for the high priest to enter into the Holy of Holies, which is where the Ark of the Covenant was, he had to be purified by this crystal breastplate of judgment. Here's the Lord's instructions according to Exodus 28. 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be sardius, a topaz, and an emerald. The second row shall be a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. And lastly, the fourth row a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. So was Moses a wizard? Amen or abracadabra?
This text can be used to cast spells and perform all sorts of evil. This is the 6th and 7th books of Moses, which is a piece of magical text allegedly written by Moses himself. The book claims to reveal the magic used by Moses to defeat the magicians in Egypt. It also claims to reveal the magic that Moses used to part the Red Sea. In addition to all of this, it contains spells and incantations to summon dead spirits and biblical figures, as well as spells to control the weather. It also mentions application of charms and remedies, and magical curses of the ancient Hebrew people. Now, these books are seen as grimoires and are cited as being used by voodoo and obeah practitioners. Now, although these texts claim to be Kabbalistic in nature, and if you don't know what Kabbalism is, it's basically Jewish mysticism. There is very little, if any, actual Kabbalah to be found in them. So basically, a lot of people have mixed opinions about these texts. Me personally, I've never read this text, and I don't think I ever will. This entire video is done for educational purposes.
Fascinating mystery you'll instantly want to know more about: the fact that the Archangel Michael and Satan disputed and wrestled over the body of Moses. Other than this verse, there's really nothing else mentioned. So let's use our investigation skills and dive in. If you study about Moses, you'll see that 120 years old when he died, that his eyes were full of brightness, not dim at all, and he had all of his physical force and strength in his body still. It was for meeting with the Lord face to face like no man had ever done.
Okay, so I just wanted to make this quick video before I forget, or like, not forget, but I keep like, I don't know, putting it off or whatever. So we're gonna talk about the 6th and 7th book of Moses. I got this pretty shortly after I got my Keys of Solomon compilation, and I have made some actual like pretty good use of it. And so if you've never heard of the 6th and 7th book of Moses, I mean, this is basically like Moses's grimoire, like you know, like these kind of like spells, rituals, etc. were basically revealed to him by God on Mount Sinai, and so it just has different like conjurations of how to like summon angels. There's like different seals that are like good for healing and stuff. So this is like translated from like ancient Hebrew, And then there's a lot of like also like what I believe is Latin in here. And so it's like, it's pretty interesting. Like the seventh seal of Mars brings good fortune in case of quarrels with spirits, and then, you know, has how to do the conjurations and whatnot. It kind of divides different spirits into those of like more for white magic, those spirits that are more like for black magic. Okay. Blah blah blah. What else? Yeah, like I said, I'm not super knowledgeable on the subject, but I'm still really, you know, working with it here. It also kind of like explains how he did the sort of like plagues and stuff like that. And yeah, I haven't so far heard of anyone.
6 and 7 books of Moses ni obi ayeton won so enti hye nso. The Greater Key of Solomon nso binie a book anu ose metume bo asem ba be church 6 and 7th book of Moses. 6 and 7 book of Moses.
6th and 7th book of Moses.
This is a direction from 6th and 7th book of Moses. If you have...
Alright, so I'm just using your comment. Okay.
6 and 7 books of Moses.
Alafia. Yeah, peace, love and abundance. Ashe.
Good afternoon.
The planets have 7 heights and 7 angels. What he's saying there is that
Hope you guys have heard about how to use the 6 and 7 book of Moses. Kawakuma to yem enche ye key no ebe ready. Na ye key no ready me pacho. Those now are inner circles no any ye be
When Gable's horn blow, you better be ready to go. Swing low, time to move on. Light years in time, ahead of our time. Free your mind and come fly with me. It's hip on the mothership. Grooving, start your head. Coming forth to take you home. Get it on. They had you, man. Me Let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Anybody else? Sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Anybody else? Sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride.
Name. That's the made-up name. It really was Pharaoh Akhenaten, who was ushering in monotheism in Egypt. Moses is not the real name. That's the made-up name. It really was Pharaoh Akhenaten, who was ushering in monotheism in Egypt while he was a pharaoh worshiping Amen-Ra, the great Amen. Amen-Ra was one of these Anunnaki people. Said, look, from now on there'll be no other God but me. That made it into the Bible. When you say thanks, you say thanks to me. You say amen. That made it into the Bible. Teach the people only to worship me, not any of my other relatives. I'm the only one and true God. They kicked him out of Egypt. They kicked the Pharaoh out of Egypt, and he fled with his new followers. They crossed the Sea of Reeds, not the Red Sea, which they tell you in the Bible. Nobody ever crossed the Red Sea. It's a mistranslation by accident on purpose. They crossed a much smaller, much easier to cross sea. People realized the information that they had been brought up learning was actually severely inaccurate, and that the information is based on plagiarized tablets between Islam and Christianity and Buddhism and all these other religions that have taken from the same tablets. And the real stories are in the tablets. A full unedited, undoctored, and change these words around here and there, that's not done in the tablets. The tablets is what it says. When you come to the Bible, all of a sudden you get to a lot of text like Jesus saying, honor your slave master as you would honor me. Do you think that just guy would really say something like that if he's all this light and he's a light being and he's all about love and salvation, and then he's telling you now, no, you better obey that slave master? Come on, that's somebody, let me write this in there because it's going to benefit us when we write this in. We can tell the slaves, hey, you see what Jesus said? You better listen to Jesus. So this is a lot of twisting and turning. The Bible is a remix, is what it really is.
Don't let anybody deceive you. If you read the 6th and 7th book of Moses, it will not work for you. Even if you read the 8th book of Moses, it will not work for you. Never. If you draw all the sigils, do all the circles and languages, it will still not work for you. Why? Because it's you. Your mind has not reached the level to make it work. So don't deceive yourself. You just think you just read one book and become supernatural, you just boom, start doing stuff. No, it takes time, practice, dedication. Instead of trying to do things by yourself, just go and pay people that have spent 10 years, 20 years training hard. And that's why you go to church. Your pastor is better than you. Don't argue. It's only foolish people that say they are better than their pastor. Your pastor has been prophesying for 50 years.
For those curious, have you ever wondered where Moses from the Bible got his gifts and abilities from? Were you ever curious where he learned these abilities from? I'll tell you a secret. Egyptian magic and Egyptian sorcery. Now, some of you are going to look at this and be like, what do you mean? So when Moses had these abilities like parting the sea back when he was trying to free the Hebrews from Egypt and did free them, and when he was able to take the snake and turn it into a rod and then turn the rod back into a snake before Pharaoh, Ramesses, So these gifts and abilities were actually passed down knowledge of Egyptian magic and sorcery, and Moses was actually able to learn these abilities because he lived with the Egyptians. He lived amongst Pharaoh as a prince before he fled Egypt. So yes, Moses was a sorcerer of Egyptian magic, and these abilities he learned from ancient practices and rituals in Egypt through Egyptian magic. Like turning a snake into a rod was actually a form of practice of Egyptian magic long before Moses had ever been done. Moses was actually not the first person to have made a snake turn into a rod and then a rod turn into a snake. Other magicians and sorcerers of Egyptian magic also had these abilities prior to Moses. And to show and share from a book I'm reading about this, I will read to you here that east from the most ancient period, and the power to control and direct the movements of such venomous reptiles was one of the things of which the Egyptian was most proud of, and which he was most skillful already in the time when the pyramids were being built. But this was by no means the only proof which Moses gives that he was versed in the magic of the Egyptians, for like the sage Abanir and King Nectanebus and all the other magicians of Egypt from time immemorial. And it goes on to here, which you can also read, pause, and take a look. And to show more of the history here, if you look here, it talks about that back in, but the command of the waters of the sea was claimed by the Egyptian magician long before the time of Moses, as we may see from an interesting story preserved in Westcar Papyrus. This document was written in the early part of the dynasty about 1550 BC, but it's clear that the stories in its date from the early empire are in fact as old as the Great Pyramid. Sorcery it is. For those curious,